Hey, my friends, welcome back to the Uncommodified podcast. I'm Tim Windsor, and I've got some questions for you as we start this podcast. Here's the questions I want you to think about. Are you ready to redefine what it means to live an extraordinary life? Are you ready for a revolution, potentially? Ready to turn the mundane into something monumental? Are you ready to uncover secrets of transforming your narrative, harnessing your unique strengths, and creating meaningful connections that propel you to the pinnacle of what you could achieve? Are you ready to dive heart first, not just head first, but heart first into an epic life, the life that's probably been waiting for you? If you are, then this conversation is for you. This conversation with Justin Breen, the author of Epic Life, a no-holds-barred guide to living with purpose, living with passion, and living with push. This is going to be what you need. Justin, welcome to the show.
Honored and grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks a lot. Really appreciate that. And again, if you're listening in, you're listening for a reason. Thanks for joining us. It's an uncorked conversation. We're going to uncork a drink and get to it. I've got a non-alcoholic beer. What do you got, Justin?
I have way to tap it. Is it a Molson?
No. This is
Labatt's?
from a microbrewery in Northern Ontario.
Even better.
Even better.
You know,
Even
Northern
better.
Ontario
And
has its own Briar curling champion. I always thought that was really interesting in the Briar. I'm an American, by the way, but like an honorary Canadian. So that Northern Ontario has its own representative in the Briar. Always was interesting to me.
I know. It's pretty crazy. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, Justin's representing for Canada tonight because we're recording this on the night when the when the Canadians are playing the Argentinians. So by the time this airs, it'll be long history. But tonight, Justin's representing, and I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. So how are you an honorary Canadian? Do we let anybody become an honorary Canadian?
Well,
Justin?
okay, I will answer that because that's a good question. I'm 47 years old. Before becoming an entrepreneur, I was a sports editor and covered NHL. Mostly the Blackhawks. Met and talked to a lot of Canadians there. Used to sing the Canadian national anthem at minor league baseball games. I actually prefer singing that song to the American one. It's full disclosure, I think it's a much better song, and then it's just easier. It's just an easier song to sing, and I like singing it. And then I spend my entire day talking to the world's top visionaries or folks that want to become world's top visionaries. I would say 20% of them live in Canada or are from Canada originally. So talk to a lot of Canadians.
That's interesting. Is there a reason why? Do you think? What is it about Canadians? Is it our water?
A lot of water in Canada, a lot of great people, and cold weeds out the weak. So true north, strong, and free. It weeds out the weak, so only the strong really can survive in climates like that. And it also creates a beautiful country. And then it's really interesting. I'm a high fact finder and researcher. I like research, and everyone I talk to is an American, whether they're here, been here, or never been here. So America is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Mm-hmm. And then most Americans are actually Canadian. So Canada's motto or mantra is peace, order, and good government. That is not visionary, but most Americans are actually Canadian. And then every Canadian I talk to is an American.
There you go. And just full disclosure, since where you live and where I live are actually directly almost across each other on the map, I get your weather like a day and a half later. So thank you very much. All the crappy weather we get, it comes from Chicago. The airport you never want to fly into if you have a tight connection because you're never getting out of there alive.
Zero chance.
Yeah, zero chance. Yeah, that's O'Hare. But anyways, listen, another day, another conversation. Justin, here's my question. You wrote this book. You wrote two books, Epic Business, Epic Life. Hold on. What's the other
one? I just finished is Epic Journey. I'm grateful that Dr. Deepak Chopra just agreed to do the introduction for it. So it's been developed since you and I first.
When's that coming out?
TBD. I just officially announced that partnership a couple days ago, actually, and then the Chopra Foundation CEO, Punacha Machai, he just interviewed me about it. So I'm really excited about all the collaborations that are going to come from that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So listen, what's an epic life? Here, my question's really simple tonight. What's an epic life based on your understanding and definition, and how do you and I find one and live one? That's my question.
Yeah. Talk is meaningless without action. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That used to be my favorite quote. It's from Earl Nightingale. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. My worthy ideal has always been connecting visionaries to serve humanity, and then you just keep getting better at that. So since you and I first talked, that is, or first opened this conversation, I think it was in March, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That worthy ideal has progressively gotten better. So when you and I had first talked, I had no idea I was going to write a third book. No idea that Dr. Deepak Chopra would be doing an introduction, and no idea, the mastermind I helped co-found would be named one of the top 5 masterminds on the planet, or that we'd be scaling quickly, and no idea that I'd be heading over to Harvard to go to an event that Dr. Deepak Chopra would be speaking, and I'd be hanging out with him and his friends at a VIP dinner in the next couple of months. So I didn't know any of that would happen, but what I did know is my purpose. I did know that, the purpose of connecting visionaries to serve humanity, and I also knew one other really important thing: to never, ever make an excuse. Ever. And an epic life to me is not making excuses and following your heart, no matter what. And most people, there's no right or wrong answer, but most people make excuses and live in fear or cause scarcity, and they prevent their own epic life with their own inaction. And I am the exact opposite of that, with pure action, pure following heart, and pure, absolute no excuses ever.
Were you born this
100%.
way, Justin, or did you arrive at this?
No. You're either born like this,
nature.
you're either born like this, or you're not. I'm convinced of that. Yeah.
Wow. So this is a nature thing.
Well, that's a great question. I'm sure of it that you're either born like this or you're not, because if people were born like this, they would do this. They wouldn't make an excuse. They wouldn't do that. However, if you are born like this, which is very rare, I'd venture to say our company's partnered with maybe one out of 1,000 people. It's probably less than that, but 1 out of 1,000 is 8 million out of 8 billion. So there's 8 million, still a pretty good number. But if you are born like this, then you can work on your heart set and mindset, and success is progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So you can do that. But no, if everyone was born like this, it'd be anarchy. It'd be chaos. It would be insanity. It would just be, the world would melt. So the world needs far more employees or consultants or small business owners. Thank God for that. If the entire world was like me and people like me, that would not be good.
Would not be a good day.
It would be the opposite of an epic. There would be no planet. It would just be completely destroyed.
So what is it that I can do if I've got this DNA in me? How do I prepare my heart and my mind towards an action-oriented understanding about what life is for me?
Tremendous. That's a very deep philosophical, deep feeling, and deep thinking question. So, preparing for this, I don't think you can prepare for this. I think the real answer is, if you're talking like this or talking like someone like me, and 999 out of 1,000 people just stare at you and or laugh, then you probably are like this. You just aren't around people like this, because it's very rare to be like this. My favorite quote now is from Ralph Waldo Emerson from the mid-1800s. To be great is to be misunderstood. To be great is to be misunderstood. Everyone I talk to is among the most misunderstood people on the planet, and that's why they're great. So I guess, to fairly answer your question, being prepared for this is if no one understands what you're talking about. No one. And then, you're just not supposed to be in regular human society.
So by nature, people who are going to find these things are going to be living on the outside.
100%.
they're going to be, and they're not going to want to live in the safe
No.
middle. They want to live in the inconvenient and the anarchy of the
Yes.
outside.
And what you're great at, and I can hear it, is you're a great discerner, and you're a great active listener and translator for your audience. That's a very wonderful and rare skill. And just as background, talk is meaningless to me. So I was a journalist for 20 years, so I could listen to people like us talking and then distill it, discern, galvanize into a story. And so I can hear you listening and then simplifying it in a great way so people can understand. And again, that's a great gift. But no, a visionary usually, but not always, is an alien within their own family, community, and verticals. An alien. No one understands them. And then to double down and fully answer your question from a firsthand perspective, and then all the people I talk to at this point, because I only talk to visionaries now. It took a long time to get to that point, but you never stop. So I would say unconsciously I was like this my whole life, and then it just finally came out into the conscious. So there was something deep inside me, and then for any visionary that you never stop, you never make an excuse, and you keep communicating or acting or feeling like this, and eventually it's like, oh, I just wasn't meant for regular human world. I was meant to be a visionary. And then to triple down on that, the greatest value of being like this is that my sons, who are 10 and 11 and both pure visionaries, get to see this world even exists, because most people don't know it exists. And then they can do whatever they want with it. So that's my greatest gift, is being able to show them that this exists.
That's powerful. So how do you go from a relatively safe world of journalism? Although it's probably not that it's not that safe. I get it, but comparably to this anarchy that we're embracing, what happens? Is it a pleasurable event that catapults you, or is it an absolute painful kick your ass event where the universe gets your attention?
Okay, so thank you for asking that. There are 4 things that separate visionaries from humans, business owners, consultants. There are only 4. 1, bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy. 2, depression. 3, highest level of anxiety you can imagine. 4, trauma as a child or young adult. So humans, business owners, small business owners, consultants, those are excuses. Visionary, figure it out. Okay? Figure it out. So just to start, first company, I'll give you a very quick timeline. So February 10th, 2017, I was working full-time as a journalist. Had a 5-minute meeting with company's owner and managing editor, and they cut my job salary in half. They terminated 2 other people that day, but cut my job salary in half. Okay, whatever. Tried to find a job, couldn't find a job. Incorporated, 0 business background. I still don't know what an S-Corp is. I didn't know you had to pay taxes 4 times a year. I still didn't. I don't care about any of that stuff, never have. But so 6 days after turning 40, April 16th, 2017, incorporated, and while working full-time at half salary. So over the next 6 weeks, reached out to 5,000 people. It was more than 5,000, but it's easier to say 5,000. Reached out to 5,000 people to find first 5 clients with 0 business background. Got 5th client on June 1st, resigned June 2nd, and then at the time, he's since retired, but at the time, Robert Feeder was the top media columnist in the Midwest. He did a story. I'd started my own firm. So that was just to start the first company with 0 business background. Most people can't do that because they're not, they can't, they're not wired like that. And the worst day of my journalism career was also the best day, when I had job salary cut in half. So that was the worst and best day. That's not even the top 100 worst days of being an entrepreneur. It's not, maybe not even the top 200 now. 150, we'll just say that. And then now to have 2 global companies that only partner with world's top visionaries, or those who will make investment to do that, that's been a 7-year process of success as progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And then of those 4 things, I'm 3 of the 4, knock on wood, I haven't had to worry about bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy. But almost everyone I talk to now is at least 3 of those 4 things. Most people I talk to are all 4 now. Most are all 4.
It's interesting because I think historically, when we think of these kinds of people, if we think historically, I think the sad part is that these people would have lived in the shadows. They would have lived with tremendous labeling. They would have lived, frankly, many of them would have been called, if they were males, they were called warlocks. If they were women,
Witches,
they were called witches.
they drowned them. They would drown them.
Yes, because they saw things as if they were when they weren't. Yeah. And that's somewhat hallucinogenic in nature.
They took care of Joan of Arc by burning her at the stake for that. Yeah, so.
They sure did. And so it is interesting because do you think we're at a moment in time where the place of visionaries and people who can operate in this level is starting to be honored more? Or is it still in an area where people aren't sure if they should touch these alchemists?
One, The Alchemist is a great book. I had it right over here. I don't say this lightly. I'm very grateful for this, but the Epic Journey book I just finished, it's a real life alchemist. It's real. Like that's why people like Dr. Deepak Chopra are behind it, because that's just what it is. And again, I can barely tie my shoes or hold a pencil right, but that's my gift to the world, is that book. So I'm grateful for that. So to answer your question, though, I don't live in the human world, so I don't know what most people think about in terms of what I actually do or the people I connect. Sadly or not sadly, I've just learned to ignore. I didn't know there was a presidential debate here recently. I didn't even know who was in the presidential debate. Our 10-year-old Chase, he was a genius. Both of our sons are geniuses, but 10-year-old Chase was like, "Dad, do you know who Kamala Harris is?" I go, "Who is that?" He goes, "It's the Vice President of the United States." I go, "Oh, okay, I didn't know that." But youth. Our sons are both really good athletes, so go out into the human world to watch them participate in sports, and it's very difficult for me to have conversations in that setting. Very difficult. What I will say is that because of technology and what happened with COVID in terms of visionaries connecting quicker, like the partner for second company, Epic Fit Network, we've met 3 times in person since officially quote-unquote meeting in 2020, late 2020. So we've only met 3 times in person. And we've had one big in-person event. Our next one's in September, but almost all of our meetings are virtual. So because of that, for visionaries, and I guess anyone in general, but it has fast-tracked that. It has fast-tracked the connectivity between visionaries on a global level. But, I mean, without knowing for sure, I would still guess that most visionaries are completely misunderstood by the vast majority of society.
Yeah, I totally agree. And when we talk about this kind of individual, I think of some people that I've met and partnered with over the years, particularly in a lot of work that I did in Africa. And it was really interesting because I think some of them were visionaries out of necessity for survival. Yeah. They had to envision a future totally disconnected from the present realities and oppression they were living in. And I remember one time, as you talk, I think about this one gentleman, his name is Scott, and we were in Zimbabwe, and he took me to this dam, and we stood on the edge of this dam, and the reservoir was full, and the river was flowing out of it, and he talked about a story of the visionary who who had a vision to build that dam, and stood on the precipice of that land when it was dry as a fart in a windstorm, and had a vision to build this dam, but there was nobody to build it. And finally, he was able to articulate his vision, and the most prominent civil engineer in all of the country in Zimbabwe signed up without pay to build 100%. That dam. Because they could see the land being watered before it ever was.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
That's the power.
There's 2 things from that. There are 2 things. Besides that being a very powerful story, very powerful. And I always laugh too when people are afraid of the rain. I'm like, well, you're like 80% water, so you're afraid of yourself. It's kind of funny, but all right, that's nothing. But so with that particular story, I have found there are only two true commonalities between with the top visionaries that I've seen. And then again, journalist for 20 years, so all I do is talk to visionaries or people like that or people that overcome the odds. So one commonality was they had the same mindset, like covering the NHL, no excuses, no excuses. And then the second part of that is I haven't met the exception to this yet. It would be interesting if that existed, but I haven't. But all of these people, whether visionary or top athlete or top actor or top musician, whatever that is, they had at least one person, who genuinely believed in and or cared about them. So that could have been a parent, could have been a coach, could have been a teacher, a mentor, an engineer. I don't know. One person. I have not seen the exception of anyone who had zero people care about them. That'd be interesting. Okay, so that's one. And then the second thing with starting the Epic Fit Network, I was just out there. I'm like, I'm tired of being in rooms with and there's nothing right or wrong with this, but mostly white men, business owners, consultants. I don't. That's not my world. It never has been. So I'm like, I got to create a room of only visionaries. Had to do it, and the first person who saw that and believed in it was partner Mark Fujiwara, who again we have met 3 times in person since late 2020, and he believed in it, and then we started getting it going, and then my wife, who's a pediatrician, she saw the gap that was needed to be filled, and so she's like, oh, I can be COO for the company, and that was a year ago, and then a year ago, approximately at this time, we had 6 members, and now we have 75 because we had it. You have the teamwork now to build the dam, and then now there's nothing outbound at all. All the members, the members are the ones that bring others to the dam. I haven't done anything outbound in a long time now, but to your point earlier, I saw it. And I'll tell you exactly when I saw it. I was at the time I had a very fast BMW. I don't have it anymore. I have a different fast car because I like driving fast. But I was driving on the highway and I saw it. I just saw it and I floored the accelerator, like just floored it, and just completely floored it. And you could I just felt it so strongly. I've only felt like that a couple times in my entire life. I describe it as a glitch in the Epic, like an electroshock, like
the glitch in the Matrix.
That's what it felt like, and I've only felt that like that a couple other times.
So let me ask you, not in a religious
Religion
way,
means binding.
Traditional religious way.
Binding, yeah.
But right. But from a spiritual perspective,
faith,
do you think that those people who see these things are seeing something dimensionally in ways that change the
100%, in many ways. So like, and I don't say things flippantly or lightly. Like writing this book, it came from a higher power. Like it was just channeled. My wife and I were just on Necker Island. Very grateful. That's where Sir Richard Branson lives. So we hung out with him for a week earlier this year. And I was asking him about this because, like, he should have been killed so many times. He should be dead. Like, he almost died in a bike accident, literally right in front of me. I mean, he posted it on Instagram, but like, he was wiped out right in front of me on a bicycle. So, like, how are you still alive? And he said he's always had a North Star protecting him. Oh, he quoted North Star, and like a true visionary, it just comes from somewhere else. It just does. And most people will never understand that. They won't believe that. They won't. And then a true visionary also looks far beyond their own body lifetime. That's another big difference between a visionary. Yep. Like a business owner, they're thinking about, and this is fine. They're thinking about their own lifetime or making money, which is also fine. True visionary looks well past their own lifetime into multiple generations, and they know it's not about them at all. It's really about serving humanity and a higher power, more importantly.
You know what, I so resonate with that, and I do believe it's so true. It's actually it's the subject of the second book that I'm going to be writing. I'm hoping I'm going to get it out next year. But the title of that book is Unenders, and the subtitle is When It's All Said But Never Really Done.
Well, there are two done.
Right, and it's about legacy. It's about legacy.
So, okay, one after this, I'll send you the two things from that. One, if you need a book publisher, I have several good options for you. Two, I'll send you the manuscript for Epic Journey, because I know reading that will help. You'll see. But anyway, part of Epic Journey book is there are two deaths. There are two deaths. So one is living body death. Okay, fine. I'm guessing everybody understands that one. The second one, you don't really actually die as long as your purpose or consciousness is still being discussed by others after your death. So you don't actually really die. And
That's right.
Well, yes, that's right. That's your answer. Most people will be like, huh? So that's my point. So you're a visionary.
Yeah.
You understand. But if you go out in the real world and talk like this, it doesn't, or not real world, but human world or whatever world that is, it doesn't work. So like, I'm not worried about, one of the chapters in Epic Journey is life is death and death is life. Like, I'm not worried about body death at all. And I mean, it doesn't, so no. As long as.
No, it's, you know what it is. And and let me try this on you. Tell me if this is sort of the way it feels for you and other visionaries. So I have this sense that there is information all around us, like right now, all around us are radio
100%.
waves, television waves, all that, right? And if I tuned in, if I have a receiver, I can instantly tune in, but it was already present all around me. So visionaries, I think, have this attenuation of something in their psyche that allows them to pick up on this thing, and then when they articulate it, they're articulating something they see, feel, smell, taste, and it's all around everybody, but only a very select few can attenuate
100%.
to that frequency.
So that ding, I just sent you the manuscript for Epic Journey, but you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
means
that.
acknowledging the other person's humanity. Learned that in our group. The second person in the United States to buy a flying car, he taught the group what thank you means. So I think that's contribution is eight-figure visionary teaches the group of what thank you means. But that's my point. Like, that's more interesting to me. But so let me answer it this way, if it's okay. And I kind of did already. But like, unconsciously, visionaries, they're just. It's a commandment to be a certain way or do a certain thing. They just can't. There is no choice. People always talk about making choices or for a visionary. You have to do it. It's a commandment. You have to do it. And then what I've seen is, again, and I'm convinced it takes minimum 40 good years, probably longer. I just did my human design, which is a really good assessment. And that contends that you actually hit your real role model level at age 50. I'm 47, so I'm actually, I guess, ahead of that because of this book that's coming out and the things. But really, it takes 40, 50 years. And the unconscious eventually becomes the conscious because you never stop unconsciously and then consciously trying to find that radio frequency, and then just as, if not more important, broadcasting your own radio frequency. And again, that's why there hasn't been anything outbound in years, because you don't have to do that. The members themselves have their own frequencies that are so powerful that it attracts other people with that frequency. They want to come to that reservoir, and then I just do what I'm supposed to do, which is connect visionaries to serve humanity, and then other visionaries connect me to serve humanity because they want to serve humanity. So, but again, this takes decades of those four things, usually all four: bankruptcy, potential bankruptcy, depression, anxiety, trauma as a child or young adult. And again, most people are, one, not wired to handle that. Two, they're not going to do it. They're going to use that as an excuse, and then they'll stay a small business or stay a consultant or stay an employee, which, again, totally fine. Thank God the world's that way. But the true visionary, they'll never stop. Never.
No, they weren't. So here's a question: how does a true visionary live with this commandment that they have, this burden and blessing potentially that sits on them? Yeah. How do they work in their ecosystem in a way that they don't scorch the whole earth in their family and everything else? Because it seems to me that, unfortunately, a lot of times when we hear the word visionary, we then usually we connect the fact that they're now a car accident in every other area of their life, including their kids and their wife and their partner and their whatever, and they totally fuck all that up. How in the world do you make this work, and how are the other visionaries that you interact with? How do they figure this tension out? Because that's the thing that scares the shit out of me the most.
Okay, so scared the shit, and then again, talk is meaningless to me. I found that everything that has been said or asked has basically been written in this book. I don't know how that happened or why, but it's the same radio frequency. So one of the chapters in the book is live life exilified. Okay, and I know you like words and making creative words. So exilified came from my great friend. Her name is Melissa Bernstein. Melissa Bernstein is co-founder of Melissa and Doug Toys. That's one of the top toy companies in the world, top wooden toy company in the world. Anyone with children or has any type of capital has heard of Melissa and Doug Toys. It's a very big deal. So anyway, she's one of my best friends now. And then she makes up words, and she talks about living each day exilified, which means exhilarated and terrified. Exhilarated and terrified. and I'm just going to... I followed my gut and heart completely to do this book, risked everything to do it, risked everything to do it. And one of the lines in there is, I am scared shitless right now. I haven't been scared of anything in years. This is much different. But I did it anyway. So I understand everything that you're saying. And for a visionary, you just have to do it. You have to do it. And what I will say is, whether if you're married to a stabilizing human or a high achiever stabilizer or a kind, loving empath, is a visionary cannot change who they are. They can't. I mean, they could if they drink it away or do drugs or just disappear in society, but they're really not capable of doing that. So it's really up to the others who are the support system to understand that. It's really up to them. Because a visionary who's denying their visionariness, they're just dead inside anyway. They'll be dead inside anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they will die 1,000 deaths one time. Yes. No, it's and it's interesting because as I started interacting with the ideas that you've been playing with and your book and stuff, I mean, absolutely resonated with me and my own thinking. And I'm betwixt and between on this. I think that I have this sort of visionary spirit to who I am in some ways, but I also believe I was coached and conditioned into a more parochial way of looking at my life for a long time. In the last number of years, and I think for me it's sort of this, what I'll call the second half of life for me. I'm going to turn 59 in a couple of weeks. So I look at it. I read a great book years ago by contemplative monk Richard Rohr, and it was called the second half, or falling upwards. It was called Falling Upwards, and it was about the second half of life. And I really believe that as I came out of that first half of life and moved into the second half of life for me, I began to untether myself from the things that I allowed to control me over the years, that took that sort of visionary spirit, that avant-gardeness, that put all the dice on the table and let's just see where we go mentality. I had put that in a box for so long. I am beginning, I think, to walk into a greater freedom. But it's not easy, because when you're coached and conditioned or allow yourself to be, then that becomes a convenient excuse for yourself not to be free.
Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, there's no but for a visionary. Nope. No.
Yeah.
There's the one of our members. I'm happy to introduce you to her if you'd like. Kathleen Adams. Kathleen Adams. She's in our group, and then she's been a great PR partner. She started her latest company at age 68, and it's called Second 50. It's for those in their second 50 years because people are living to. She's a great visionary. Pure no excuses. I'm happy to introduce you to her if you'd like.
Awesome. So if people want to, if people, what's the best place for people to get your book? Is it Amazon?
The
Or
Epic
where do
Life
they go
one?
if they
Yeah,
want to
that's
find
on,
your books?
That's on Amazon.
Yeah. Epic Life, Epic Business there as well.
Yeah, it's hilarious because, again, success is progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And then the word business comes from the Latin word bisignus, which means anxiety. So my first book is called Epic Anxiety. Oops. But, hey, you got to learn. That's how you learn, right? But, that really the best site to go to is theepicfit.com, theepicfit.com. That's where all the information about the company is.
Okay, so that's the best place to find those resources.
I'm introducing you to Kathleen.
Awesome. So I appreciate that. And thank you. I'm going to use thank you again. I like thank you. Thank you is a good word. My mom taught me to use that word. It's a good word to use. Good word. So let me ask you: do you have? Are you still connected with your family? So where did you grow up, and do you have siblings, and are they all like
No.
Were you the freak? Were you the freak of nature in this rodeo?
Yeah. So I appreciate you saying that. That's a compliment. Yeah. So I have 3 siblings. My youngest brother, he's unfortunately passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
But no, I mean, my 2 living siblings, I'm nothing like them. I will say my father, pure hero, no excuses. My mom, pure hustler in a good way. Like, I've never met anyone I've maybe met one person with more hustle than my mom. I think I finally met one person with more hustle than my mom. She's like a younger version of my mom, which is kind of creepy. But so I am like my parents in that way, but no, nothing like my siblings at all. Nothing.
Interesting. So when you go into a room and you are engaging with people in that human world that you've described has this unique tension for you as you get into the human world, when you walk into a room and you're going to bring whatever contribution that you know you are the only one who can bring it. What are you bringing into that room that you believe is transformation?
Okay. So in human youth baseball world, that there's nothing I can that doesn't go well. But in terms of our company and then having conversations like this, we had our latest virtual meeting today. It was amazing. And then I don't really talk. I didn't actually said nothing in today's meeting, not one thing over 2 hours verbally. But my gift is, like you, I'm a good listener and able to discern and then immediately create introductions with people. So I think during that 2-hour span, I sent out 20 to 25 intros during the meeting, whether it's LinkedIn or, I mean, I've done 2 on this call while doing an interview. But whether it was text message or LinkedIn or email, it was just constant interest. So again, this is not ego, this is confidence, because I'm useless to society besides this. There are very few people, if anyone, who are better at that on the planet than I am. There just aren't.
Wow. So it's interesting because all of these words that are running around in my head right now have a connection to energy.
100%.
There's the sense of being a conduit, a connector.
I'm a manifester. Most people are generators. I'm a manifester.
Yeah. So where's it? What are you seeing then that no one else is seeing right now, Justin?
Well,
what are you seeing and going? Oh, I see this. I don't think anybody else sees it yet.
It's a great question. I'm not the only one anymore, but in terms of this book, the Epic Journey book, because it's not even out yet, and the people who have every woman who has read it has cried, which is really interesting. Only a couple men have, because women are usually more intuitive, and then they see the riddle inside the riddle. But the feedback I've gotten from that so far, without it being out, and I don't know when it's coming out, I know that's going to change the world at the highest level. I mean, and for generations to come, that's what I see. And then in terms of the company, I'm endlessly grateful for the company, to have the right team in place and all of our great members. But I see the book being the ultimate key to that, and it will never stop, because it came purely from the heart, pure high consciousness, pure love, and pure absolute no excuses, ultimate risk. And it's very, very rare. In fact, I've never seen it in a book for someone to go through that in real time. I've never seen it. Never. Yeah.
Well, listen, guys, if you're listening in, I always say you're listening in for a reason. And so you joined this conversation because there is some kind of predestined understanding of why you're listening in. If not, you would have gotten off this ride a long time ago. So if you're still listening in, you're listening in for a reason. My challenge to you is, what does living an epic life look like for you? How do you find it? Who are you innately? How are you wired? Are you actually tuned into the things you need to be tuned in? Because your world might be waiting still for you to manifest the thing that it needs. I mean, it doesn't just find itself. It needs to find someone to live in.
Yep.
And I would just challenge you to connect with Justin and what he's doing, and check out the website. That is
TheEpicFit.com. The Epic Fit.
I love it. It's got to be the Epic Fit, FIT.com. Check that out. Check Justin out. Grab those books. And when this book hits the real world, you need to grab it. I know I'm going to grab a copy. I'm going to sign up to read that. Justin, I really appreciate your time and appreciate the generosity that you've given me. Full disclosure, I canceled on Justin twice. I typically don't, but I was ill, strangely and suddenly ill twice. I don't know why.
Maybe there
was something going on.
That's
don't know.
why.
Yeah, so we were supposed to talk now. And so now we're talking now, and I appreciate that. Justin, thanks for your time. Thanks for the generous gift. Again, if you listened in, listening for a reason, connect with me on social media, DM me, send me an email at tim@uncommodified.com. Check out Justin. Tell us how you're uncorking this idea, this provocation in your world. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Cheers.